Turtle Wax have released Pure Beads, a new extreme spray-on protection product for your car. In this video, we're going to put it through a series of tests and try and work out if the product's worth recommending. Okay, let's get stuck in. So Turtle Wax hybrid solution, Pure Beads, extreme spray-on coating, simple streak-free application, repellency makes cleaning easy, works in auto, home, marine and more, high-rated durability, paint film, vinyl, matte, glass, plastics, metal, UV protection, new technology that offers 100 plus wash guaranteed. You get 473 ml of this. I bought this from Turtle Wax's store and it cost me 20 quid and came with free delivery here in the UK. Let's have a look at what the product claims. Delivers superior water repellency and self-cleaning performance, which often associated more with ceramic coatings. It doesn't mention anything about SiO2 or graphene or any clever technology on this one, mainly about the beads. Producing visible and repeatable results with every application. New advanced protection forms a tighter molecular bond. That's something Turtle Wax often say. That boosts durability, chemical resistance and long-lasting defense against UV and environmental contaminants. Engineered for multiple surface use on exterior vehicle gloss or matte finish, plastic, metal and trim, Pure Beads extends surface life without requiring specialised tools or training. Yeah, you spray it on the car, follow the directions. Here are the directions. Wash the vehicle and towel dry it. Shake the product well. Always important with these things. Use 2 to 3 sprays per panel, so follow that guidelines. Spread and wipe with a clean folded microfiber towel, a cloth. You use a second cloth to remove, so you're not re-wetting it with the first cloth that gets kind of absorbs most of the liquid. So spread it out with that first cloth, level it a bit, go to your second cloth, dry it out. Folds cloths as needed. For best performance, paint should be free of oxidization and surface contamination. So don't spray it on rough contaminated paint because the buff will feel rough and contaminated. So clay and polish if needed first. Very good layman's advice, that is. Do not use where a slippery surface is undesirable. So don't spray it on the soles of your shoes. And then it's got all its health and safety kind of stuff there. And a little note at the bottom about the 100 wash pluses, proven in controlled laboratory testing to maintain protection and performance for 100 plus washes, which are wash pass and a rinse pass, I would imagine. Okay, first of all, let's test that 100 wash claim. So this was put on our test panel, which was prepped properly and polished with a finishing polish, degreased, and on one side the Turtle Wax Pure Bead product was applied. On the other side, I compared it against another product which is a similar sort of format, the Colonite Bead Coat Ceramic Sealant Plus, which is beady and pretty durable as well. Washed it for 100 times, which is not a pleasant experience. It takes you to dark places. When you get north of 50, your mind starts going all over the place. After 100 washes, I was surprised that the product was, I wasn't surprised it was still on there. I was surprised at how well it was still beading. My thoughts on this are that 100 subsequent wash passes doesn't mean that you can put this on your car, wash your car every 2 weeks and it will last 100 washes. The weathering effect of having a car stored outside and how often you dry it mean that these products will still erode off of there. But it passed 100 wash cycles, so it passed that product claim. So did the bead coat. At the end of those 100 passes, this was less degraded than the bead coat, but not massively. Both products hung in really, really well. Impressive. After that, I thought I would just throw some random chemicals at it, including a fallout remover, a alkaline pre-wash product, Preludio Alkaline, and an alkaline acidic pre-wash product, Preludio Acidic. Let those dwell and just see if acidic function, alkaline function, and fallout remover could degrade either of these products, and they didn't. So both of these products, especially the turtle wax, show me that they have a real good chemical resistance. And if I'd have repeated that test, and we may well do on traditional silicon polymer sealants and paste waxes, they'd be a lot more degraded in my opinion. So this offers good durability. How good? Very good. To decide whether it's market leading, you'd have to specifically test it against market leading products, etc. But it passed its 100 wash claim. That's the first thing. The next product claim, this is all about the beads, pure bleeds. It says it offers superior water repellency, which is a pretty good word. Repellency makes cleaning easy to a certain extent, yes. Now, turtle wax often use expletives like, you know, extreme, or with their Seal and Shine, it has the word ridiculous, I think. Ridiculous water beading. And I don't know about all these expletives. I can tell you now, the pure beads, I will show you pictures on a goniometer that show you the beads that were formed. There's some slight complexities around measuring contact angles that I'm finding out the hard way. In short, this is as hydrophobic as I can visually see, matching products like Bead Coat, which are extremely hydrophobic. I can't even get it to demonstrate a sheeting action at all, even when the panel is kind of horizontal, which is a sign to me of extreme hydrophobic performance. It has a lot more hydrophobic performance than the Seal and Shine, and it matches the hydrophobic performance of iconic products like Sonax BSD and the Geon Cure, which I don't know if that's known for its repellency, but it is repellent. This is as water repellent as it gets, and the product claim of beading and all that is completely justified for me. What are the advantages of having extreme hydrophobicity? It makes the car easier to dry because the water doesn't want to wet the surface, it wants to come off the surface. So when you're toweling over it, it comes off, and you can towel over it with a microfiber towel. If it's dry, it will get it off. That makes drying very, very easy, and it does create an effect where if the car gets wet, a lot of the wind as you're driving it blows it off the car. The downside is with heavy beading, if water is, like say the sprinkler scenario, you park at your golf club and the sprinkler comes on and sprays it with water and it beads up, and then that water bakes on, you're more likely to see visible drops. But if that sprinkler put the water over your car and you didn't have hydrophobic protection, it's still going to dry there. It's just harder to spot because it forms a uniform film. So that's a downside of beading, but yes, it does make the car easier to dry. Might offer you a little bit of self-cleaning if any dirt carried water is repelled off the car as well. So a definite tick on its hydrophobic performance. I want to talk about price, guys. So I mentioned this is £20 with free delivery. I don't know if it's always free delivery, if that's a product launch thing or what. But let's say this product costs £20 for 473ml. Let's compare that to Colonite Bead Coat. That costs £23.95 for 473ml. Let's compare it to something cheaper. P&S Bead Maker, £12.95 for the same amount of product roughly. Sonax Extreme Ceramic Spray, which is similar water-based spray kind of protection product, £21.95. Auto Finesse Ceramic Spray Wax, £20. Turtle Wax Seal and Shine, £10 for the same amount. So the bottom line is that typically that £20 price point is pretty good in line with a durable sort of spray coating water-based protection product that has good durability. It's in line with most of that stuff, cheaper than some, but there are offerings of very similar products within the Turtle Wax line and from other brands that may or not be as good, but could be up to half the price. So price buyers aren't going to go for this based on price, but anyone thinking, is it expensive or is it really good value? I think it's pretty good value for where it is on the market, and I've given you that data to compare from. Next up, it claims like a streak-free application, simple. So you spray it on a panel, 2 to 3 sprays after washing the car, and you wipe it over to a film and you take a dry microfiber and you buff it. I've used this on the Golf, I've used it on 2 test panels, and I've used it on the red Porsche. In particular, the carbon fibre roof on my red Porsche tends to show up any streaking. This product, when you do that secondary buff, flashes virtually immediately to a streak-free shine. When I used it on the Golf, I had 0 problems with streaking. In fact, it looks really good on the streaking front, possibly better than the Sealant Shine, which is a slightly richer affair with the film that's formed, but still not particularly difficult. This reminded me of the Bead coat application, which is I described as a forgiving product, so you can almost treat it like a detail spray. So the chemistry of this does seem really good to me on streaking. The material inside the bottle is slightly white as well, which usually means whiter, richer products can have a risk of showing more before they've flashed, but no, not from what I'm seeing. This product seems to on that secondary buff out and flash out to a really clear finish, and it seems very simple and very easy to apply. What was the gloss data like on this particular product when you put it onto our prepped test panel? Take pre-gloss readings, take post-gloss readings. Well, to be honest, none of the products incremented gloss that much in this particular test, which is a problem of putting these things onto a panel that you've just machined kind of polished, even with compound marring. So the Sonax, the pre and post gloss readings of the Sonax didn't change, only a slight increment in haze. The Turtle Wax Pure Beads, the pre and post gloss averages were exactly the same. The readings were all different, just the averages turned out the same, and it improved haze by 0.2 of a unit, which isn't significant really. The Turtle Wax Seal and Shine dropped the gloss by 2.6 units, but improved the haze, which is important. And I've seen it do that before. The Gion Cure dropped the gloss by 0.1 of a gloss unit, which isn't significant, so it didn't really affect gloss, but dropped the haze by 1.9 units, which is significant. So the Gonio photometer isn't able to really differentiate any of these products, apart from the fact that Seal and Shine might have just lowered recordable gloss at 20 degrees a little bit. What's more telling is when you get these panels out, this panel out in the sunlight and look at each panel. The 2 products which looked the best in the sunlight were the Seal and Shine and the Gion Cure. They darkened off the panel jet black more. After that, it was the Turtle Wax Pure Bead, which had darkened off a little bit, and then the Sonax BSD visually wasn't quite as jet black. So in terms of that darkening effect, that previous product looks good. In terms of the Gonio photometer, no real difference. I tend to find the more resinous a product, the better the darkening effect. Next up, Slickness, guys. I always like to test that. There's no product claims on this one around Slickness, which is interesting. So they've all been applied, and I put on the coating applicators with the micro suede. They're all the same weight, they've never been used. And then I tilt the table and see which one slides down first, the patented forensics tilt table test. Before I even started the test, just feeling them on the panel and like from wiping them, my opinion was that the Turtle Wax Seal and Shine was noticeably slicker than all the other ones. And this isn't really known for its slickness, but it does claim SiO2 in it. Tilting the panel up, that thing slid down at a much lower angle than any of the others, and I could feel that it was going to do that. So that is the slickest out of these 3 products. So if you're only buying on Slickness, this isn't a market leading Slickness product. However, after that, it slid down second, closely followed by Gion Cure, and then followed by Sonax Extreme, which just seems a bit more, it's not tacky once it's dried, but you can feel it's not a slick product. So this isn't market leading slickness. What's market leading slickness? Probably something like P&S Bead Maker, potentially in terms of feel, but also Auto Glim Rapid Ceramic Spray has one of the best tilt table things that I've ever seen, and that's not even known for its slickness. So yes, you wouldn't buy this for market leading slickness. However, I don't think it's unslick. I just don't think it's prolifically slick. You get the idea. So we're ready to do our final roundup on this product. 100 washes, yeah, okay, if you put it on and wash 100 times, it will last longer. We've talked about that. Extreme hydrophobicity, absolutely. Car stay cleaner for longer, generally unknown, but there could be some basis in that. yes, yeah, an unprotected car, you know, does, you never quite get it there. So a well-maintained and protected car, I'll give it that. Completely streak-free, I'm going to give it that. Suitable on all those other services, yes. Glass, yes. Plastic, yes. Metal, I don't know. Trim, kind of same as plastic. UV resistance claims, I cannot test. Very interesting. A summary of this, there's positives, and I've looked hard to give you the negatives as well, and we'll cover those. So I think this is a durable product, and I'm going to explore it more against market leading products in that sense. But from what I've seen of it, it looks very good. It looks like it's so easy to apply and relatively durable that you haven't got to worry about durability. But I'd expect this product to go beyond three months reasonably easily in real world terms, and maybe even be able to go to beyond 6 months depending on how the car's stored and what you're doing it. It looks like a durable product. Beading effect is insane, even on a flat panel. The beadage is really good. The usability of it is great. It's a little bit more idiot proof on the buff out and spread than Seal and Shine. Yeah, this is the interesting thing, that these spray waxes, as a reviewer, they have taken over the market, and I instantly can see why, because you can apply them so rapidly without any additional time spent. It's almost like you wash your car, you could dry it off with a towel and then go over it like you would if you were just doing a QD final wipeout. It's exactly the same, and it can literally take a couple of minutes to apply. And then that protection that it puts down is really chemically resistant, you know, really hydrophobic, probably lasts longer than traditional products, but it doesn't have the risk of, with a curing emulsion, which is what I tend to favour, of leaving product around the edges and, you know, that product drying on rubbers and stuff like the emulsions, and you get that white cakey like stuff that you've got to go and get off later on. That's one of the biggest reasons for using this. So they've taken over. So you're always going to get kind of a relatively clean finish with them and never any residual polishy type material. And of course, there's no cure after you lay it out, which is a massive thing. Massive disadvantages of those other products, that you lay them out and you've got to lay them out a bit more slower and intensively and wait for them to cure and buff them out a bit more carefully. So these are, I can understand why these have taken over the market, and we need to capture that in the review. What have you been able to find as constructive criticism or negativity? Well, two main things. The darkening effect on the panel wasn't as prolific as the Seal and Shine. The slickness it can't be market leading if it's not as slick as Seal and Shine. So there's two good pieces of constructive criticism there, and you can get cheaper products as always. How good is this Pure Beads? How good is it? I think it's probably as good as any spray and wipe, spray wax, spray sealant, whatever you want to call it, spray coating. It's not really a ceramic coating, it's a water-based product. I think it's pretty much as good as anything I've used. It's every bit as good as Colonite bead coat, seems to last a tiny bit longer. Caveat, my bead coat is about 2 years old, and anything siloxanes in it can lose a little bit of potency. But it's not like, it doesn't slaughter bead coat. That was still going after 100 washes, but it's just ahead of bead coat by about 5%. But it seems as forgiving to apply, which is one of the reasons that I love bead coat. It's almost like a detail spray, but just like, it's beyond a detail spray, isn't it? So it's very good. It's as good as I've used. I've given you the reasons not to buy it, but essentially it's a very good product. It's worthy of going on the shelf. The problem is you end up with so many of them. Another thing with this product that's very interesting to talk about is to really apply this all over your car, is a couple of sprays per panel or whatever, and then wipe it out. If it does last 6 months, the problem is when you buy this at home, you have it for so long, it could take you like 5 years to use it if you're using it sparingly. So you might want to use it a bit more, but it's so durable, you might not need to. I'm not sure I'd recommend you use this every month even. Like, it might be something every 3 months. And if you're using it every 3 months, you're going to struggle to get through it. So there's that argument that you could put in there, that the extreme durability isn't required, but I don't, or that even the extreme hydrophobicity, but I don't see the compromise. I don't see the compromise unless there's an additional risk of build-up of product when you use it too frequently. This is a very forgiving, very potent product, which for me demonstrates its product claims. And I've given you all of the things it does exceptionally well, and I've given you a few of the things that it was outdone by other products. So there we go. I do recommend it. I do recommend you go and try it. You'll know whether you want to or not. But Turtle Wax, if you're looking at them, these guys have been in business 75 years. To stay in business 75 years is not easy. There's another thing that people could say, well, they're just cycling products. You have to release products, guys. If Turtle Wax hadn't, they'd be out of business. You have to have new ranges. You have to look to improve on your products. It looked like Flex Wax disappeared, and it's probably because they were bringing this out and it's kind of competing. And I think what they've tried to do with this is make something which is market-leading hydrophobicity, but a little bit more idiot-proof, doesn't require wet wipes or being too careful. Yeah, it's a little bit easier to use. Very, very good stuff. We will find out more about it in some other extreme kind of comparisons. We've put it up against the field of certain things. I want to put it up against the field later on, I'll give it a few months, of market-leading durability products and stuff like that, just to really see how far it can go. Maybe hit it with some more extreme chemicals and all that sorts of stuff. There we go. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Put in the comments if you've tried it. Have I covered everything? All that sort of stuff. Take care.
Holding on to what